essentially the expectations of customers and colleagues who we communicate with on a daily basis and how they've changed. And for me, this journey kind of has begun 18 months ago when I joined Oracle and discovered the different ways in which a modern organisation based in Ireland can communicate with customers globally without having the expensive bills of travelling globally. But for me, my customer experience world began when I was 14 and I started working here in my father's butcher shop in Dunleary. And this is where customer experience and the intimacy that a business needs to bring to their customers was born out for me. It's where a lot of my ideas were formed. If you think about a small local shop like I would have worked in, competing against a large multinational supermarket, for us it was all about building a relationship. Knowing Mrs. Murphy's Saturday roast and knowing her by name, being able to address her, helping someone who's lost being sent down to get an order for a barbecue and being able to instruct them on how they might best be able to do that. So that's where my ideas of how you deal with customers began, how you communicate, very hands-on, very much pressing skin, shaking hands, addressing people by name. And in March 2011, I became a statistic. I boarded an Aer Lingus flight to London Gatwick and I started working over there. I was very lucky I got to work with a young Irish startup by the name of Bedford Consultancy. I was employee number 7 and I was working with 2 really, really interesting guys, Neil and Stephen. It was an IT consultancy and at Bedford we had a rule. We had the newest person in had to travel to the furthest away clients. So luckily for me that meant going to exotic places like Stirling in Scotland and spent more time in this place here, which is King's Cross in Pancras Station, travelling up and down to clients. And I'd find travelling on a Sunday night to a client in Glasgow that the meeting might get cancelled on Monday morning and I have to rearrange it for Tuesday, which means that I can no longer go to my appointment in Stoke and that has to be changed. And I found it a really inefficient way of meeting customers, despite that being what the customer desired. I was working with financial professionals, people who were very traditional in how they did business. They wanted to do business face to face, even though I could be far more productive if I stayed in our office in London. It was a real head in the hands moment for me. It was just not a great way of doing business. It was driving up the cost that my company charged to these customers, and as a result, increasing the expected performance from these customers from us on our daily rate. And then, as I say, 18 months ago, I joined Oracle, and I don't know how many of you were here for the talk before the break with Accenture, but there was the idea of a startup within a large organisation. And what I do at Oracle is very much that. A lot of you would know Oracle as the tech company, the database company. I work in our CX applications, so software as a service, and working with small to medium businesses globally from Dublin. That presents a lot of challenges. How do I communicate with these customers globally? But the perception of a customer and the way we look at a customer in Oracle has changed. How do we communicate with them is very different. In the same ways, how they interact with us is very, very different. So a recent study from Google indicated that 4 out of 5 consumers utilize their smartphone when making a purchase. That's at the point of purchase or within 30 minutes prior. So if you think of 4 and 5 customers are doing that, that's an incredible change in perception at our shop front. For a lot of people here today and the businesses and organizations that you work with, your shop front is your premise. It's a stand like we have today. It might even be the website. The most important shop front that you have is how your website looks on your smartphone. Or on the smartphone of your potential customer, should I say. So we need to think that way when we interact with our customers. We need to think, is this the impression that we want to give them? We also need to think of it from a customer service point of view. Because if I am to Google one of your businesses, I'm more than likely going to be led to your social pages, to something like TripAdvisor or Yelp, or the relevant industry portal where I can leave reviews. So if your customer service isn't of excellent quality and you're not promoting your customers to give those great reviews, potential future customer like myself will be immediately put off and I'll look elsewhere. If I was to ask people in the room what I should say that this, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, works for companies selling books or selling a cup of coffee, selling clothes. It does, it's high street stuff. It doesn't work on the large scale. But if I was to ask anyone in the room here what the largest referral site in the world, magazine and journal for purchasing cars, big automotive cars, is, I don't know how many of you might say YouTube. But YouTube is responsible for more referrals for car purchases than any other site, magazine, newspaper globally. So 69% of people who use YouTube while buying a car are influenced by it. That is more than any newspaper article, any newspaper review, any magazine journal, any TV show like Top Gear. People are going to YouTube, and car manufacturers are starting to understand this. For those of you that might know this car, the Tesla Model S, this is the first car that will not be sold in any showroom. Tesla only sell this car online. I go to their website and I spec it out for myself. I pick the interior, I pick the wheels, I pick the paint. I can do all the specing out myself. Tesla have identified the modern customer does not need to go to a showroom. For them it's expensive, it's a waste. They see the benefit for it for particular cars. It's not, the Model S is the only car that is available in this way, but they've identified that their segment of this people who are going to buy this car do not need to go to the website, or do not need to go to the showroom. They go to the website, they review it on YouTube, and they approach the buying process in that way. So, at Oracle and in my job, we approach our customers in very much the same way. We have our customers who are very traditional, who will need to be, gone face to face onto customer site, meeting them. But then we have our other customers. We have our customers who to embrace the modern approach, and we use our tools to allow us to reach them. And I see huge implication here. I was listening this morning to a lot of the universities speaking about collaboration and how they communicate. I see a lot of value in what I'm about to share in that. But also for the startups in the room, small, medium businesses who are trying to expand outside Ireland and into Europe, and they want to do it in a cost-effective manner. They want to compete with companies globally, and to do that they have to keep the price down, and they need to be able to reach those customers in a really value and thought-provoking way, breaking barriers to their boardrooms, but they need to be able to do it in from an office in Ireland. So why am I showing you a picture of glamorous East Midlands Airport? Last week I was visiting a customer in Burton-on-Trent, an industrial manufacturing customer, and we were talking to them about how they are maximising their customer data to go forward to ensure that they don't need to waste as much time in upskilling and training their new staff. They do really complex work around engines and require complex engineers to configure, but their salespeople don't need to have that level of understanding, and we're allowing them to do that. But they're very much traditional. The board wanted us to be there in person. So we flew over and met with them in the morning. Unfortunately, on the way home, I missed my flight. So I had to wait 5 hours in East Midlands Airport. There's not a lot to do in East Midlands Airport. So I did what I'm sure most of you would do. I got out my laptop and I started working. And I noticed that one of my colleagues in Dublin was discussing with one of our clients in Brussels a new project that we're working on together. And he was wondering if I would jump on a call with him, with this company, and maybe actually show some of our software and how we could help them. So I got out my laptop and dialed up on our soft phone and was able to communicate with the customer in Brussels. They thought I was in the office in Dublin, and we were able to, move things forward, progress that opportunity, and it was very much a good customer experience from their point of view. It was just a really nice synopsis of the modern customer who's willing to accept, the person who's looking at things on their smartphone, embracing change, doesn't require you on premise, compared with the traditional customer. There's no right or wrong, it's just finding a way to meet those needs of those customers. And to do that I use a couple of tools, and I'm going to share those with you now. So on my iPad, the most important thing that I find for dealing with customers, and I'm sure this is something you're all really familiar with, is WebEx. WebEx is a great tool. Here's me practicing this presentation yesterday with one of my colleagues in San Francisco. I can share PowerPoint presentations, software on my desktop, schematics for anything I might be working on with anyone globally from multi-locations. I get great voice and video interaction. It's just making a big step on from how we do things traditionally. But I've also got a few more tools in my kit bag. So here's me having a Evelyn Byrne moment, being a weather person. What I found is I watch a lot of presentations online from customers and different vendors globally. And if you're sitting down watching a flat presentation on a video with just voice to carry it, it can be really distracting for the customer. They'll get out their phone, they'll get on email, they'll stop listening to you. I want to capture the attention of customers. So we're using stuff like you see here, bringing yourself onto the screen and really grabbing the attention and allowing you to highlight a moment that matters for a customer within a demo. And it also allows me to whiteboard. The biggest thing that most of you who will be trying to work with customers globally from a remote base, you'll say is, I can't flipboard. I can't flipboard the way I would within a company's boardroom. I can't really drive a message home. So it's about finding tools that allow you to do that. That's what we're doing at Oracle to really help us to reach those customers. But the big thing that I would say as well is communication. Communication has changed drastically. The way I communicate with my friends and family is not the way I did so 10 years ago. I might WhatsApp my mother to let her know that I've landed safely when I'm going on holidays. I share photographs online via social network with my friends. But the way we communicate in work with each other as colleagues and with potential customers or current customers has stayed rooted the same. We email. It's a really inefficient process. We might have 4 of us working on a project together. I might be sharing a document with you and I want some feedback. The person giving me feedback doesn't hit reply all, we've all been there, and the message gets lost. What I would suggest is maybe thinking about this differently. So if I go back to my iPad, I have what's known as the Oracle Social Network, and this is something that we offer to our customers free of charge. So if I'm working on a project with you and I want to share and work on documentation, I open OSN, Oracle Social Network, I add you to that conversation in the same way I would do any kind of social network page. And we can start collaborating. You can see here I've uploaded some documents. I'm working with people. I can annotate. If I was to leave the company tomorrow and the person replacing me was to join, they can see all my conversations that I was in, and they can look at exactly what I've inputted. No information is lost, and we're communicating the way we would expect to communicate, the way we do now currently socially and with our peers and friends. So I'd just like to thank you for that brief kind of overview, for your patience during my brief overview. If you do have any questions, I have shared my social media contact information. It would also be remiss of me not to say, at Oracle we are currently hiring. If you do have someone who, like me, was living abroad and you would like them to come home and work for a fast-paced company, please do share that information on our website there. Thank you very much, guys.
Do you have time for one question?